Hello, and welcome back to the second chapter of University Diaries. This is me, Nandini Dwivedi, a host of the show, and today we have with us Miss Ellie, a student from University of Queensland. Hi, Ellie, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm also good. So, Ellie, could you please tell us more about yourself?
So, I am from Australia and I am studying a Bachelor of Biomedical Science at the University of Queensland. So, this is the undergrad that I'm doing before I start medicine afterwards.
So now you're a year three student. So, how was your journey towards your admission process? Like, was it rocky or smooth?
For me, I found it quite difficult only to get the grades that I needed to get an acceptance for medicine. The actual admission sort of process of applying to uni was pretty easy. We had, a bunch of websites and our school talked us through all the applications. So that was really smooth. But the hardest part was definitely getting the right grades in year 12, my final year, and then sort of transitioning to uni structure, I guess, in my first year of uni. So that was very, very different from school. The biggest thing I found was that in your first year of uni, no one gives you reminders. No one really spoon feeds you, if that makes sense. Um, I found it very difficult trying to remember, I've got a quiz due each week, because your professors wouldn't necessarily remind you, and you sort of had to keep on top of everything yourself. That was something that I struggled with.
Did you give any exams like IELTS or something?
So we didn't really have those. We had a very different system than is sort of overseas or an IB or something like that. Um, my grade was mainly calculated on how I did in my courses. We had something called QCS, which is just sort of a standardized test to sort of place us in the grade compared with other schools, which is they've cancelled that now because it's just not really fair. The only exam that I did for my acceptance was specific to medicine. So I did something called the Ucat. I think they have a similar test in the UK, and it's just a bunch of really difficult questions in a short amount of time that allows you to study medicine after high school.
Okay. And what about your SOPs and your essays and all? Did,
Sorry?
did you have any SOP or essay to submit to university?
No, nothing like that. So after high school, we basically had a number um, representative of how well we did, so an OP, and that would be from 1 being the best to 25 being the worst. They've changed that now, so it's, I think, 99.95 or something like that is the best. But we don't have to do like an essay to get into uni or anything like that. They just see the number, make sure that we've done the courses we need. Say if we need maths or chemistry to study science, and they'll just check that, and then you open up the website on the day of your results being released, and they sort of tell you if you get in or not.
So, what would be a piece of advice that you have to give to someone who's applying for the same stream as you are?
With the uni application process, I guess it depends on what you're aiming for. For someone aiming to get into medicine in Australia, I would just say that hard work is absolutely the best thing that will get you there. There's no particular tips or tricks to sort of, have a good essay or a good test, because we don't have that so much. It's just hard work and preparing in advance. I don't know.
So, how would you think your college is like, your university is treating you right now for like academics wise and just in general?
I personally am impressed with how the university helps us. I think all the resources that you need to do well are there, but the difference between school and university is that you have to chase the resources yourself in uni, but in high school, sort of your teachers will give it to you and say, hey, you need to do this, you need to do this. So for my first year, we had sort of peer tutoring available for free, heaps of tutorials. Any of the lecturers are honestly happy if you contact them and ask for extra information or ask for clarification on topics. All of it's there, everything you need to succeed. The difference is that you just have to chase that yourself. And that sort of extends to special accommodations for sicknesses or mental health issues or things going on in your life. We have options for sort of extra exam time, extensions, different exam conditions, all that sort of thing. But it's just important that you sort of go and look into the accommodations yourself.
Right. And what would you say is like how important is having connections in university? In your daily university life, having good connections, how is it helping?
Um, I'd say there's two types of important connections in university, and that's having, social friends who are in your degree, and then having like good rapport with your lecturers and professors. So I'd say it is so to make friends or at least, be comfortable talking to other in your degree. Um, I know for me, people who are doing the same thing, or I'll just meet up with them from time to time. Without that, not only can it, feel a little alone and sort of a bit discouraging, but it's also sort of helpful for them to keep you on track. So, hey, have you handed this in? It is just really motivating to have that. I honestly can't imagine how people would get through their degrees without the support of other people going through the same thing, because it is a very sort of specific, I don't know, there are struggles that are specific only to your degree. Other people aren't going to get it. Um, and yeah, the other type of connections with your lecturers and professors. So in my experience, it's not like you can sweet talk them into giving you a good grade or something like that, but it's just important to know that they're people too. And I don't know, I've been shocked by the kindness that they show when you actually take the time to email them, say, hey, I've got this going on. What would your advice be? I've had professors give me advice on how to plan my study, how to break apart assignments, and even, offer private Zoom calls just to clarify some things. So I think it is important to get to know all of your lecturers, at least just to reach out to them and ask for any advice.
So talking about student to student relationship, what would you say is the difference of like toxic relations and all? In high school, we all have have that toxic relations and all those friends. And so how's it in university? Would you say is it decreased? Is it increased? How is it?
In my experience, it's decreased. With high school, I guess everyone's in the same grade, sort of all being thrown against each other. And I don't know, a lot of systems age going through a lot of things, at home, that sort of thing. And so there can be sort of like a lot of toxic fights and all that. I'd say, in my experience, the sort of big friendship groups with all that drama has sort of dissipated in university. You also sort of make friends with people who are heaps of different ages, different backgrounds, all over the world. So in my experience, that sort of drama has gone. I'd say if you are the sort of person who creates drama, it'll always be there. But in high school, it's sort of hard to escape sometimes. And I think that's definitely disappeared a lot. The only sort of toxic relationship that can keep going at that level is a sense of competition. I don't know if people realize they're doing it or not, but there is sometimes a bit of judgment if you're wanting to get an extension like from other people, or people like, oh no, I got a 90%, that's so bad, and sort of bragging but complaining at the same time. So that sort of thing. It's just more academic competition, which can sometimes get a bit toxic.
And my last question for you is, what is the piece of advice that you would give to anyone, like literally anyone, like in life in general, something that you've learned either the hard way or just followed someone who said that, and what's something that is really worth? Because I think when someone hears it from you, they're really gonna think, okay, yeah, maybe this will work for me too.
Um, biggest thing that I've sort of learned and realized is that it's always important to put your time into what will benefit future you instead of what current you wants. So, say right now you have a lot of assignments due. Current you would love to lie in bed, go on TikTok, have some snacks, but future you in a few weeks' time is going to be stressing about that exam, going, why did I do that then? And that applies to just so many parts of life. Yeah, so just sort of valuing what is going to actually benefit me in the long run instead of right now. Going out to a party, yeah, it might be fun now, but what are the consequences in the long run? Or even when it comes to food and gym, you know, I wanted to stay home and eat chips, but future me will be so much happier if I'm, feeding my body well and exercising and that sort of thing.
Right. So thank you so much, Ellie. This has been great. And that completes our chapter 2 of University Diaries. Yay. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So
Um,